My next guest on the show is someone that is a Clemson legend. Everybody knows this guy. He's even been shadow banned for his outsider opinions. Now, he and I have been friends for a while. We've known each other as, well, two different personalities, but we can get it more into that later on. But this guy he's not afraid to stir the pot, and he's not afraid to call it like it is. Hence how he and I are friends. Without further ado, whatever that means, welcome my friend, Pigskin Pete. Dude, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Brian. It's always good to talk some Clemson football with my buddy here. So thanks for having me on. I don't know about the shadow band thing. I think I've just banned myself.
Hey, if it stirs the pot and brings curiosity, let's go for it. Okay, Pete, over the past 4 years, we have seen some questionable things. And I go back 4 years because I believe we had so much talent in that last season of Trevor Lawrence, T. Higgins, all those bunch of great players. They actually covered up some stuff. And then we're still an extremely talented team, but you didn't have that talent there to cover it up. We had some coaching changes internally, and now we're here, a 6-game winning streak. We're going into a game against Louisville, a team that's tough to play. Brahma is a good coach. Where are you at with the team at this point? I mean, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, it's amazing what having a competent quarterback can do, an offensive line that can block halfway decent, and a couple of receivers that can take the top off of a defense, which is all the three things we've been missing since the departure of Trevor Lawrence, like you said. So there's a lot of great things about this team and this coaching staff. I think that we're all focusing on the turnaround of Cade Klubnik, which has been a drastic turnaround as his first year as a starter last year into this year. But I think the addition of Chris Rumph and Matt Luke have paid dividends that we don't really even understand quite yet. So, and look, Brent Venables leaves to go to Oklahoma. How do you replace, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in the entire country? Well, the answer to that is you can't. I think the defense has done okay. I mean, even the recruiting really didn't even slow down from what Venables was doing. And that's a testament to Coach Sweeney. I think a lot of those guys come to play for Sweeney, not for whoever the coordinator is. But nonetheless, the first string defense is as good as anybody's in the country. And I think some of the statistics defensively have been skewed quite a bit because of taking out we're basically playing everybody. We're blowing these teams out. So in the third and fourth quarter, we're playing everybody, including the water boy. So I think that skews the stats a little bit, but defensively they do. I think that we do need to get better. Offensively, I can't really ask for much more at this point. But defensively, if we're looking at beating Miami to take the ACC, which is the two teams I think are going to play for the ACC championship, even though it's still wide open for 3 or 4 teams. But if we're going to do that, and if we're going to try to make some sort of run in the playoffs this year, the defense is going to have to get better.
We talk about Cade getting better. You're talking about the team as a whole getting better. You named out some positions there that definitely has stepped it up. We still don't know at this point. I looked before we went live. I know Tyler Brown's not playing this weekend, but Bryant Wesco, the question is whether he'll be able to play or not. Let's talk about that offensive line. You hire a brilliant expert to come in and lead the team, and you're seeing an offensive line shockingly get better when you have a genius coaching them. How much of the progression of Cade and the wide receivers, even though we have added talent there, how much of that do you really think goes back to the offensive line? I mean, I know that's kind of like a softball question, but I mean, we're seeing improvement there.
Oh, I think it makes a huge difference. If you remember last year in Cade's first year as a starter, now look, he made a lot of mistakes on his own. We always knew, or at least most of us that really follow the team closely, knew that he always had the physical talent. He's got the NFL arm. He's an amazing athlete. He can run. All of those things. He won 3 state championships in Texas, blah, blah, blah. But he was making a lot of mental mistakes, a lot of quote unquote rookie type mistakes. And it did not help that he didn't really have time to make good decisions because he was running for his life on virtually every single play. And so that breeds the bad habits and all that kind of thing, and the lack of confidence, which leads to more bad decisions. So I don't think you can really understate the difference that the offensive line has made, giving him a little bit more time. And he's obviously progressed as a player, and the game has slowed down for him. And a second year with Garrett Riley. So all the things that needed to happen that we were hoping were going to happen from last year to this year seem to have happened. And it's not just a fluke. I mean, I thought maybe, after the App State game, well, all right, they came out there and they blew out App State. That was a great game. But can we repeat that on a week-to-week basis? And here we are going into week 10, and it appears as if this is the real deal offense that we've been waiting for.
Yeah, it's worth going out and getting Riley. Riley obviously being named as a candidate for this ECU job after Mike Houston was let go. We'll keep our eyes on that one, but it seems like Garrett Riley has hit a stride, and we can talk about, okay, now he has a better offensive line. He has a confident Cade. He has, obviously, Moffa's been there. You have the wide receivers. How much of this do you really think lies on Garrett Riley, or maybe he was apprehensive to call certain plays? And then how much of that was just, I don't know, maybe an excuse?
Yeah, I think if you go back to the offensive line thing and you go back to the confidence and the bad decision making by Cade and the slew of injuries we had at the wide receiver position last year, where to the point where really our best receiver was a true freshman, Tyler Brown. He stepped up and played good, but he was really the only guy, him and Jake Brenningstool, the tight end. So I think all of those things, I think that he opened up the playbook a lot more because he saw the progression in Cade. And so all those, again, going back to what I said in the previous statement, all of those sort of things came together at the right time. So, I hope Garrett Riley doesn't leave to go to ECU. I think he can hold out for a better job, a power forward job, if he sticks around for another couple of years.
Sure. He and his brother got their start there, so it will be interesting to see him go back to Greenville, North Carolina. All right, let's talk about this game coming up. We're playing Louisville. This is a team that has lost 3 games, all by 7 points. They lost to Miami, SMU, and Notre Dame, all by 7 points. Tyler Shuck, though his name is spelled Shuff, it is Shuck. This guy is in his 7th year of college football, if my memory serves me correct. 2,348 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Their wide receiver, and I don't know if he's injured or not, but I don't believe he is. Ja'Cory Brooks he has basically 800 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. Our wide receiver room has received the ball spread out, so it's kind of hard to say, oh, you shut down that guy, you don't have this guy. What is your keys to this game? I mean, like, when you're looking at it, what are you saying? We have to do this, but we can't do that. I mean, I know obviously you can't turn the football over, but like, where is your headspace coming into this game after a bye?
Well, thank God it's a bye. Thank God it's in Death Valley, and thank God it's at night. That's 3 things we got going for us in this game. I was actually very surprised when I saw the line come out on this. Maybe I'm being way too optimistic here. But the line was 10.5 points, Clemson. And I think that's the lowest line that Clemson's had since the Georgia game. Every other game has been, 17 points or more, in the 20s even. So I think it's probably going to end up looking very similar to what happened when Miami went to Louisville. Louisville's going to score. I mean, you just named all those elite players they have on offense. They're going to score. And I believe that Clemson's going to score too. So what it's going to come down to in the very end, and this is very cliche, I know that, who wins the turnover margin and special teams and things like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. The only thing that would surprise me is if Louisville won this game outright. Anything else wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if it came down to the last possession for either team. The last team with the ball wins. Or it wouldn't surprise me either if Clemson went out there and made a statement to the country this week and won by multiple touchdowns, 14 or 21 points.
I look at this game and I see a great opportunity for Clemson to say, all right, the last 4 games that we have, It's going to be tough. Last 5 games that we have they're going to be tough. It's tougher than what we thought. Louisville, obviously, we talked about them. Virginia Tech, we thought they were losers for losing to Vanderbilt. That turned out not to be a fact. They're actually much tougher than what we thought. Pittsburgh, they're an improving team, but good grief, you're not going to have a quarterback throw 3 pick sixes in a game so you can beat someone by 28 points. And the Chickens, as much as I love making fun of those Dookie eaters from Columbia, I mean, given what Saturday they come out, those guys can play some football at times. I mean, it's just according which South Carolina team you get. My thought for this game is this is a great statement game for Clemson to come out and say, hey, we relaxed mentally and chilled for a moment, and then we got to work, and we're coming out here, we're fixing the things that are wrong, especially miscommunication in the secondary here and there. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to show some dominance and show, hey, we are still the favorites going out. Let's talk about the ACC. The ACC, we have Miami. Everybody's talking about Miami. They've given up a lot of points, a ton of points. Cam Ward's ridiculous. Restrepo is ridiculous. Martinez is very talented. When you think about Clemson versus Miami head-to-head, what's your thoughts there?
Oh, man, I think that'd be a great one there. Miami's loaded offensively. You just named all those guys, and they've got even more, too. Defensively, they're very inconsistent. I guess there's a lot of Miami fans are comparing Clemson's and Miami's defense to each other. I don't think it's a real fair comparison there. I think Clemson actually has a better defense than Miami does, but I think that would be another one, a shootout. Anybody could win that game. If they were to play on a neutral field this weekend, I think Miami would be favored, but it would be by a little bit, by less than a touchdown probably. The other thing is, if Clemson and Miami both went out and they find themselves in the ACC championship game together, it's of my opinion that doesn't matter what happens in that game, both of those teams are making it into the playoffs. So, I mean, that's because of the new 12-team playoff system and the format and everything else. Unless one team got blown out or something. But mathematically, there's still Pitt's still in it. SMU is still in it, and they play this weekend. I believe that's an elimination game because obviously Clemson also has to play Pitt next month in November. So yeah, it's going to come down to the very end. We probably won't really know who's going to make it to the ACC championship game until about mid-November. So it'll be a last-minute deal.
Okay, so we're getting ahead of ourselves big time here. But hey, I have you on, and that's what we do. Or at least that's what I do. Let's imagine both those teams get into the college football playoff. It's tripled in size. You were talking about that. We have some pretenders in there that I'm not sold on. Then we have some teams I'm sitting there going, hey, if they have a loss, maybe 2, but especially if they have a loss, that still doesn't really mean anything. The SEC's beating up on one another. 2 questions. How do you think Clemson and or Miami fares against an Oregon, an Ohio State, Georgia? How do they fare if they played today? And I'll kind of leave it there. I was going to go somewhere else with that, but I'm going to leave it there.
Well, they would be both Miami or Clemson, I believe, would be underdogs to any of those teams that you just named. Probably anybody in the top 5. Ohio State, I don't know what to think about them. I think Clemson or Miami definitely could beat Ohio State for some reason. I mean, they might have the most talented roster that money can buy, literally,
literally
in the entire country. And for some reason, they just don't look like it. Maybe they just had a bad couple of games or something. I don't know. And they'll turn on the Jets at the end of the season. But anybody else outside of those, like Georgia, Oregon, Texas, teams like that, any of the other teams in the top 12 right now, I think that both Miami or Clemson would match up pretty well against.
Sure, I got you. And I know that overall, when you look at these teams, it's like, well, duh, Brian. I mean, you get outside of the top 5, top 4, there's going to be a bigger gap. I guess one of my greatest concerns is I really don't want Clemson to go to the college football playoff and get TCU'd. Because TCU went, they made it to the big game first year. We all know that. It was first year with Sonny Dykes, Garrett Riley, and you did have some talent there, but not near the talent that Clemson has. And we saw what happened to them. And then afterwards, the aftermath is still going on. That's what's sad, but I really don't want that to happen for the Tigers. Let's talk about maybe, and I know we're going to have to close down the show here in just a second because of time constraints and so on, and I appreciate you coming on. Hey, real quick, everybody, I left a link to Pigskin Pete below this video. Let's go over there, click it. Most of you, I know you watch my videos, you watch his videos, but if you're new here and you haven't seen Pigskin Pete, he's an old friend of mine, go to his channel. Let me know that you saw him on my channel and subscribe to him, drop him a note. So, let's talk about some of your favorite players that you've seen this year. Is there any players that really stuck out to you? Maybe some obvious ones, like Peter Woods. He's an obvious player. Everybody's great. He's just fantastic. But who are some of your favorite players to watch on both sides of football this year?
Well, I love both of the true freshman receivers, Moore and Wesco. Those that's the missing pieces that we have needed so badly for the past few years, is guys that can take the top off the defense. So they're a huge addition. Antonio Williams has come out of nowhere this year. We always knew he was a great player, but he's sort of the leader of that offense. The veteran leader of that offense, and he's had a great season. He's not only catching touchdown passes, he's throwing touchdown passes, he's running the ball. He's returning kicks. He's doing it all. So he's a huge thing. I don't really think that Jake Brenningstool gets enough credit for the success of this offense. Having to account for him on every single offensive snap really puts defenses in a bad situation. And he's really one of the best players on the team. So, and then Stellato, he came out of nowhere this year too. Who would have thought that Stellato would have as many catches and yards as he has, had such an impact as he has this season with the offense. So, and on the defensive side of the ball, look, you name it. Capehart, who's going to be probably taken in the first round of the draft after this year. You named Peter Woods. Peter Woods is an absolute monster. And thank God he's going to stick around for at least another year or two. He can do anything. We saw him, we're doing the jumbo packages on offense, and he just steamrolling people. I hope at some point they let him carry the ball. Wouldn't that be fun? Maybe they'll do that this week. They've had a week to prepare. I like to see him do the Christian Wilkins deal and get an offensive touchdown. And then, the same guys from last year in the secondary that are playing well this year too. Barnes, Terrell, and those guys. So a lot of players to like on this team.
Yeah. As we're about to close down the video, I am going to shotgun some questions to you. You don't have to go in depth, but this is going to be random because I have you on the show. It's been a while since we got together, so just for fun, folks. If anything, we're going to do this just selfishly for me. So JT Brown, see you in there. Thanks for supporting the channel, my friend. You ask, what adjustments do y'all think we need to make at Clemson to finish strong this year? I'm concerned about the defense. I appreciate you supporting the channel, JT Brown. Pigskin, quickly give an answer to that one.
This is the adjustment we've seen from the difference between Goodwin and Venables. They're playing soft defense against a lot of these teams. I'd like to see them be more aggressive from the secondary. I want to see more corner blitzes, safety blitzes, that kind of thing. We know we're going to get push up front with our big guys on the line. I'd like to see them more aggressive from the secondary.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you're going to get pass interference called, but I think that if you play in fear of having pass interference called on you, you're just going to get burned. And in the college game, that's 15 yards. It's not like the NFL where you get really, really penalized for it. I think you're going to win more of those and adjust to the calling of the officials, the way that they're going to call pass interference. I agree with you 100%. We have to become more physical in the secondary, and I think that would just be a nightmare. So I'm with you 100% there. Okay, shotgun questions real quick if you have just a moment. Does Brenton Venables get fired this year?
No. That's a great question. They just gave him some sort of extension. I think his buyout's around $50 million. So I don't think they'll fire him this year, even though his seat is about as hot as it can possibly be right now.
Right. Billy Napier, do they fire him?
Yes, I think so.
Lincoln Riley, Southern Cal.
Yes, I guess if I had to, I'm 51% sure about that one. Yeah, yes.
I got you. Does Garrett Riley take the job at ECU?
No.
Okay. All right. Do we see Clemson go to the portal this year and pick up one player that is not a grad assistant? One player that is not a grad assistant.
You know what? I'm going to say yes on this. I'm going to say yes on this. I know it hasn't happened yet, but all that means is we're due. Because look, it's not like, in all seriousness, it's not like they're not offering anybody. It's just everybody they've offered has chose to go elsewhere. Eventually somebody will choose to go to Clemson when they get an offer from there. Also, I don't really know if we don't pick up a quarterback in this class, he might need to go, because nobody's talked about this either that I've heard. What are the chances that Christopher Vizina sticks around this year? Because the thought is that Cade Klubnik is going to come back for one more year after this year.
He should. He should. I mean, though his numbers improved this year, it's not enough for him to be considered, a hot commodity in the draft.
Well, even Dabo said he expects him to come back. So I think that they've probably had that conversation. I don't know that for sure. But anyway, hypothetically, does Christopher Vizina say, okay, I'm tired of being the backup. I want to go start somewhere and enter the portal. And if that happens, we have a massive void at quarterback. Yeah. So you might need to start looking in the portal to fill in for Vizina at quarterback.
Yeah, maybe so. The pushback I give you there, not that I disagree with you, because guys that age, they don't, they have another reality. You and I, we have gray in our beard. We know reality. If you're Christopher Vizina, I mean, unless you go to an FCS school, maybe a Sunbelt team, who would really want to pick you up in the portal?
I don't know. You don't think he could start at a Power 4 school? I think he could.
Maybe.
I think he could.
I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe you talked me into it. I don't know. Yeah. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Everybody, Pigskin Pete, old friend of the show and my former self. We all know who that is. And anyway, go over there, let him know that you said, or that I can't speak. I'm like, I'm having a stroke over here, Pigskin. Go over there, let him know you saw him on the show, and subscribe to him. Pigskin, is there anywhere else we can find you online?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, or also known as X. I'm sure if you just search Pigskin Pete, I think my handle is Pete Pigskin, or that's backwards or something. Anyway, search me on there. I do a little bit of everything over there, making people mad and talking football all at the same time.
Well, you are versatile and you do it all very well. Yeah. Folks, thanks for joining us. We have the Tigers playing this weekend. Louisville, as no, actually Sean McDonough says Louisville. God help that man. Really, I worried about him. I thought he had a stroke one Saturday when he was talking about them. So anyway, Louisville coming to town, 7:30 ESPN. Clemson is a 10.5-point favorite. Y'all, I will have that prediction out very soon. So, well, until then, y'all be good. Tell Pigskin hello and bye-bye. Y'all be good. Go Tigers.